Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Land Bodybuilding, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, let's just say, throwing these feet when it comes down to building muscle. Because somebody in the comments, super nice dude, he was just talking to me about HIIT training, right? High intensity training, and saying, Jason, have you ever tried it? Do you like it or not? And the truth is that I like some of the tenets in that type of training, but at the same time I found that the volume is not necessarily enough for me. Sorry, I changed my shirt because the camera shut off on me twice now, so I'm having some SD card issues. I'm not frustrated at all, no, not even a little bit. This camera might not survive this shoot, just so you know. Mountain. Forgive me for the different location, but my camera accidentally shut off on me and I didn't realize it until I got home that a whole clip, a whole video was destroyed. So, welcome to my world. This is kind of what happens. So anyway, what I'm going to say is that something I discovered a long time ago is set threshold. Now, again, this is going to be different for each person because some people have the capacity to be maybe more intense on their body. Maybe their nervous system allows them to be able to fire the muscles strong enough so that there's more muscular damage. And one could also say maybe they just have more fast twitch fiber, which has a natural tendency to be more explosive and be able to create more damage. Whatever the reason might be, I've noticed that some people have to use more than one set or maybe several sets in order to just get ramped up or just to do enough muscular damage so that they can actually get results. So for myself, I noticed this is 3 to 5 sets for myself, maybe more if I'm not going to train the body part for 4 days or something. But ideally, I found the 2-day split type program was really what worked for me because it allowed me to constantly revisit the muscle and do bits of damage at once and then recover and then come back to it. So it's like that callus principle I talk about. But some people notice that they're able to do so much damage to their body, I guess in one set that they are able to make unbelievable gains just from doing one set. Now, I think a large part, not the entire part, but a large part of why this type of program became popular is the same as the 5-minute abs. You know, everybody wants to be able to just train once every 7 days and get Mr. Olympia results. But the truth is, that's really not going to happen for 99% of people unless they have perfect genetics and hormones and all that. You know, whatever is going on in their body. There might be a scientific experiment gone wrong. I have no idea. But all I can say is that that is not what I found for me or any of my clients. I had to train them with more than one set. And if I did train them with one set, really intense with strip sets and all that kind of stuff, I found that might be good for a day or two or maybe good for a certain period of time, but there was a point of diminishing returns. So the thing is, I've tried doing lower amounts of volume with super high intensity, and I find that there is a threshold, especially if my frequency is really low. And that's the thing. So I'm open to the fact that maybe one set is the right thing for you, but then we have to ask ourselves, what's the ideal frequency for that type of training? And if you talk to most individuals, they'd probably have to train the body more often than just once a week if they're just doing one set per body part, right? So, I mean, I talked to the grandfather of this method himself. I talked to Mike Benzer directly, and he had theories at the time that just training the body once every 8 days, regardless of what body part it is. I'm not saying train each body part once every 8 days. He's saying just train once every 8 days, one body part, and that should be sufficient in order to get growth. And I'm like, not even close for me. I start to shrink if I start taking 2 days off, 3 days off. You know, you guys even notice, like if I'm not training consistently, if I'm not training, with my split program, with the volume that I'm training, if I don't do that consistently, you already notice, oh, Jason, you're not as pumped today or whatever. Like immediately my body starts to respond, right? So I know there's a certain threshold, there's a certain switch basically that you have to hit when it comes down to training, and one set for, as a standard protocol for everybody, I found is not the truth. That's definitely not something I found to be true. But if it works for you, congratulations. You know what I mean? I'm totally open to that too, right? If that's the best thing. Now for me, like say for instance, I'm doing 5 sets of squats in the garage. This is a classic example of why one set methods don't work for me as far as one reason. There's many reasons, but one reason is when I'm doing a compound lift, that requires a lot of coordination. Sometimes it takes me a few sets before I start to get that groove down efficiently in order to be able to push the muscle into a deeper level of failure or stimulation. So this is the other thing that a lot of times those one set methods don't take into account, although they do say warm up. The thing is that warming up only does so much, but at some point you have to start working with the poundages that you need to find that groove in. Because if I find my groove with 225, that doesn't mean I found my groove with 400, right? And so there is a certain progression in finding that groove that's necessary. And then once everything is firing properly, then you can push it deeper. Now, to do 100% intensity and to push absolutely into failure before that groove is established, that is a risk of injury. And that's the other thing I find, which is the two-pronged problem with this type of training, is that if I only train a body part once a month or once every week or once every 15 days for myself, and I go to do a compound lift but I don't have the groove established, my coordination will be off, therefore increasing my risk of injury. And at the same time, I noticed a lot of the muscles are not only just recovered, but they've actually went into sleep mode where they're not even awake. And I have to wake them up again, and that takes successive workouts over the next several days in order to get them back to where they were as far as the strength and the coordination and also the blood flow. So I find that training 100% balls to the wall intensity and then nothing for super long periods of time is more of a risk for injuries than, say, somebody that doesn't recover as much but trains with a moderate volume or a reasonable volume throughout the week. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. But if this is working for you, then by all means to continue to do it. But for myself, for these reasons and more, I find that the one set method just does not work for me. Mountain. Oh, look, the camera didn't shut off. Wow. So yeah, the point is that you have to work out with enough volume or enough intensity in order to create growth. And if you're not experiencing growth, guess what? Adjust one of those parameters and find out if you're getting results. If you're not getting results, if you're not feeling more pumpy and lumpy, you're not putting on extra reps on whatever exercise you're doing, you're not feeling like you're putting on some strength or something, then add something, assuming that your diet's in check, of course, but add something, add a little bit more intensity, a little bit more sets. The thing is that I've found that if I just train a body part once every 8 days, no matter how intense I go, I end up just going backwards. It's like I'm starting at ground zero again, over and over again. So every time I go back to the gym, I feel like, okay, I've lost my groove, lost the coordination. I almost feel like I've got to be careful when I start moving again because the body is unfamiliar with the movements and the blood flow hasn't been in the area. And therefore there's more of a risk of injury too. So I can't go super heavy. And so because of all these factors, I find that a little bit more frequency in my training seems to work better, even if I have to back off on intensity or back off on volume in order to compensate. That seems to be the perfect sweet spot. So it's just like sweetening your coffee or putting spices in your stew. You know, you taste and find out what is working. Is this enough, or is it too much, or is it too little? And then from there you make those adjustments. So this is a constant organic process with your workout programs. It's not like one of those things where it's set in stone and just 5 sets is the answer no matter what. It's more about how does the body feel? Dance with the body accordingly. And the better your nutrition is, of course, you're going to notice the better your body feels and the more it can benefit from maybe some higher intensity or higher volume. But if the nutrition's not there, you're definitely going to notice that you have a very low tolerance to stress. So that's the first thing you always want to deal with, is make sure that you're eating enough protein, enough carbs, enough energy food and recovery food and nutrients. But in the end, if you're not getting results, then yeah, start making some adjustments. That's about it. Mountain. So I hope this helps out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturallandbodybuilding.com, and thanks to the Patreon supporters, and take care for now. I'm just going to throw this camera in the garbage now. Natural land.